Thanks everyone. We'd now like to welcome Scott McMillan, who is the craftsman plasterer, to the stage. Thank you, Scott.
You're very welcome. First of all, I would just like to thank Gary for his very passionate speech there on how endangered heritage trades are, because it really is a very strong passion of myself, that we do try and pass these skills on from generation to generation. So thank you very much, Gary, for that. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott McMillan. I'm a traditional solid plasterer, and I work on heritage buildings across Queensland, conserving ornate and age-old plasterwork. And yes, that is a Scottish accent you hear. My wife was joking earlier that I should have subtitles going on in the background here so that you can maybe understand what I'm saying. So I hope you get the gist of what I'm saying here tonight anyway. So I'm going to guide you through my profession and give you some insight into why the trade is still very, very relevant in today's modern world. We're at a point where we really need the next generation to take up traditional trades as a profession. And I want to thank the team at Endangered Heritage for organising this fantastic event so that we can help to raise the profile of this very important cause. Yes! Got it. So nervous about that. So I started my career 16 years ago in a small town just outside Glasgow. I'd always been creative and enjoyed art and technical woodwork classes at high school, using my hands to create things. I was also known as a big friendly giant. Given my size, I knew I could cope with the physical demands of a trade. Through recommendations from a family friend, I was lucky enough to take on an apprenticeship with one of Scotland's most reputable ornamental plastering companies. The apprenticeship was over 4 years, including an advanced craft certificate in cornice restoration work through a technical college. Whilst this was an incredible opportunity, the apprenticeship didn't come without its challenges. And I wouldn't be the tradesman that I am today without those formative years which have set me up for a lifetime in this unique trade. After time served with this company as a foreman, carrying out works on behalf of Historic Scotland, I received an invitation to come over here to Australia, where traditional solid plastering is something of a critically endangered trade. Solid plastering is in fact one of the most ancient handcraft trades, given that decorative plasterwork can be found on the Egyptian pyramids that are more than 4,000 years old. Plastering really is a dinosaur craft of the building trades. So what does a traditional solid plasterer do? Well, I conserve and restore old plasterwork found in heritage buildings and homes. Old plasterwork is subject to movement and water damage over time. Often this is seen in the form of cracks, sagging, discoloration and loose plaster. So my job is to reinstate heritage plaster elements back to their former glory. To do this, I employ a range of handcraft skills and traditional tools. I also work with traditional materials such as horse-haired lime putty. My work includes conserving and restoring decorative plaster features like ceiling roses, corbels and archways, along with in situ ran cornice, which you can see here with custom-made running mould. Horsehaired lime lath and plaster ceilings, exterior sand and cement facades and cement mouldings. My main focus is to conserve as much of the original plasterwork as possible so that I can retain the integrity of the building's fabric. That way we can look at these rooms with the beautiful plasterwork. We can essentially step back in time and admire them the way they were meant to be admired. In our fast-paced mass production world, traditional plastering, like many traditional trades, has become something of a lost art. Authentic specialists are rare, given today's focus on teaching and practising modern mass production methods that are quick and designed for quick outcome mass production. So unfortunately, there has been a real decline in the passing down of intricate artisan skills from the older generation. Old-school plastering skills are vital in the correct conservation of our built heritage, because inexperienced tradespeople employing the wrong techniques and modern materials can have a disastrous and irreversible impact on heritage buildings. Whereas the careful craftsmanship employed by traditional plasterers demonstrates the utmost respect to the original building fabric and ensures issues such as moisture build-up, cracking and shrinkage do not threaten the building structure or aesthetics. So these traditional skills really do help to safeguard the integrity of heritage buildings for generations to come. The company I started, McMillan Heritage Plastering, is one of the few traditional plastering companies in Australia that still adopt authentic in situ methods instead of relying on modern, mass-produced alternatives. With my day-to-day work, I consult with my clients, whether they be heritage architects, local government representatives, or private homeowners, on the appropriate heritage practices and materials to use during restoration works. My clients are focused on ushering these buildings, which are often heritage listed, into the modern day while still retaining their old world charms. These buildings and their rooms are often lying derelict for some time, and people are often surprised that the plasterwork can be saved. But we are very familiar with working on extremely fragile and damaged plaster elements that we need to be very careful and considerate of. The attention to detail surrounding restoration projects means we also need time. And as we all know, these days, time is a very valuable commodity. So as heritage plasterers, we have to adapt and complete very intricate work as quickly as possible while still maintaining the utmost care. It always keeps me on my toes, always. One of the most innovative aspects of the trade is when we have a real meeting between the old and new, where our skills are employed on heritage buildings that are being modernised in some way, such as a state-of-the-art fire sprinkler system being installed throughout the decorative ceilings at Old Parliament House, where we need to carefully conserve the existing ceiling, even though chunks of it are being removed to install the sprinklers. Or a heritage-listed turn-of-the-century townhouse being transformed into an upmarket restaurant, our task being to preserve the character of each room whilst breathing new life into its walls. Each project has its own set of challenges, and usually a contractor wanting the work done yesterday. But it's exciting to see our traditional skills playing a part in some of the newest, most innovative developments in our cities today. In 2019, it's not easy to find qualified traditional plasterers. I'm fortunate enough to work alongside a 62-year-old old-school solid plasterer, this fine specimen of a man here on my left. So, Mr. Paul Conlon is his name actually, and he's been able to share his knowledge with myself and demonstrate an excellent array of skills and decades of experience in the trade, which he has readily shared with me. He is genuinely hesitant to retire because he understands the difficulty of finding new recruits. He's concerned about the future of the trade that kept him in consistent work for 40-plus years. This trade offers great careers full of creative, unique and consistent work opportunities. There are always going to be old buildings needing repair. We get the keys to some of the most incredible places in town. We want the next generation inspired to take up this important profession and pass on the knowledge and skills that we were fortunate enough to receive. Traditional solid plastering has an important place in Australia today. The trade can save buildings that were once thought to be beyond repair. It can help to usher older buildings into the modern world with the utmost respect and care. And it can help to safeguard our built heritage. This dinosaur trade really does have a promising future, not just in Australia, but all over the modern world. As a traditional plasterer, I'm disappointed to see my colleagues around Australia retiring without having passed on their knowledge and skills. It's a shame that they haven't afforded the means through grants, colleges and trade schools to formally impart their knowledge. Instead of bringing over another Scotsman like myself, it would be great to see some young Aussies coming up through the ranks. I hope my talk this evening has been informative. Thanks everyone for your attendance and support today. Thank you.